Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Here we are. Morning.
Good morning, and you're just back from another dive trip.
Another dive trip. It
Yeah.
seems like that's all I am is on vacation, right? Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, right.
It's a tough life.
Hey, you're at that point in your life, you deserve vacation. So don't,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm at that point in my life. I'm on that. I'm still working. I'm still available to clients. Even when I'm gone, I check email every morning, every night.
Right.
I was on the phone a couple of times while I was on the dive boat on my way out to go diving.
Sure.
I just to communicate with clients and say, look, I'm going to be gone. You take a vacation. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm not going to let your transaction fall apart.
Right.
I'm here.
And you got people here as well. So
we have people here to back up. I mean, the funny thing is there's memes out there for realtors, and it is true. If you want to get busy, plan a vacation.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's a realtor on vacation sitting on a floaty in a pool, and they've got their laptop in front of them because they're working.
Yeah.
Break my heart, right? And the people out there, you got to go to a tropical island and do whatever.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a good life that we have the opportunity to work remotely. Mm-hmm. Many times, the technology has allowed that.
Right.
When I started back in 2005, it wasn't as accessible remotely, right? I mean, it was a different market, different time, different stuff. So as the technology has improved, it's enabled us to do some of those things. Mm-hmm. So we did a dive trip. We were in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
I got 13 dives in over the week, so
awesome.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
If I could do 26 in a week, I would.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd be exhausted, not air, and probably have the bends.
Yeah.
Nitrogen narcosis, I would not want any of that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, it's all good. And the good news for buyers and sellers in the market today is that we're kind of bucking the trend a little bit for seasonality.
Okay.
So typically, this time of year, the number of listings that start to come on the market start to fall.
Yeah.
Got a chart. NAR put this together, Realtor.com did, shows a trend for years where in the fall of the year, September, October, number of listings starts to decrease, and we bucked that trend in September. Actually, listings went up in September 12% year over year, so between 23 and 24.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, inventory's been a big deal.
It has. And
the lack of inventory has led to a reduction in affordability. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Higher prices.
Yeah.
Less buying power for buyers.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. And in this case, there's more inventory, there's more choices. So if you have more homes on the market, intuitively you would say, okay, they've got to be priced more competitively amongst themselves or amongst each other because buyers have more choices. Mm-hmm. So sellers, all is not lost because we're still way, way, way above where you would have been selling back in 2019, back in 2020. Prices are still higher than they were. They just aren't accelerating at the rate to which they were. Mm-hmm. We keep going back. We'll probably talk about this for the next 10 years.
Right.
Well, during the COVID, that was an anomaly.
Oh, sure.
It will never happen again, at least I sure hope, not in my lifetime.
Right.
Right? The last pandemic was early
1918.
1900s,
yeah, right?
Yeah,
so
World War I was coming to an end, all of that
correct.
stuff. So 100 years. So I don't expect I'm going to be around the next time we see something. Now, if I am, hey, I figured
great.
something.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe it's the diving.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's all breathing all that compressed air.
The fountain of youth, So
underwater, but we're bucking trends all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
We're establishing it. The normal has shifted. The curve, what we used to expect has shifted. So this is 1 month. There's a bump up in inventory. It's not a trend. It doesn't say that's what's going to happen. But if in October those number of listings increase again, and then November the number of listings increase again, better news for buyers because more competition is going to mean improving prices. Sellers come to the realization, I want to sell my house. That every house is sellable. I know you've heard me say that, if not once, 100 times since we've been doing this show. Every house is sellable. It's a matter of which At what price?
Right.
Will it sell? You've got to find a ready, willing, and able buyer that's capable. When I say able, capable of purchasing your home. And you've got to have a ready, willing, and able seller, somebody who's willing to accept the price and the terms of whatever the buyer is offering in order to sell. So ultimately, people take the real estate transaction. Sometimes they view it as adversarial. It's not. It can be. It can be. But in general, if everybody's on the same page, what's your objective? Buyers want to buy, sellers want to sell. We've got to find where that mix comes in.
Right.
So, I would say that while we're seeing an uptick in inventory, the market is really still slowing somewhat. We're not seeing near as much activity as what we have been. We've had months, this year that have been great and months that have been lousy. And what is all that tied to? Interest rates. Interest rates have bumped back up closer to 7% again. Now, we're not at 8, which at 8, that's when the market just screeched to a halt.
Right.
But, we're at 6 and 7/8. We were down at 6 and 1/8 not too long ago.
Yeah.
So interest rates are going to continue to be a challenge for the real estate market, along with all these other changes that we've got going on.
Right.
Interest rates are going to be a challenge.
All right. After the break, we're going to talk more about this. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes. And you just said interest rates, they're going to be a problem. And, I mean, any reason why they went back up?
I don't know. I wish I had that crystal ball.
Yeah, because I just saw that they were supposed to drop this year.
And they did. The Fed cut rates.
They did.
They have not raised rates up. But when we talked about that, banks do what they do to be competitive.
Yeah.
So if they're not writing enough loans, what do? You eat some on your margin, on your profit, by reducing your rate to try to get more people in there to buy. Yeah. It's incentives to get people to buy. Just read on the radio, there's a builder that's, I hear the ads on WRSW, right? Yeah. They're offering rates down to 1%. Hey. Concessions up to $15,000. So yes, I do listen to WRSW.
Yeah, thank you.
So I hear that.
Yes.
And what does that tell you? Builders want to continue to build. They realize pricing is an issue. They realize interest rates are an issue. They're offering incentives for people to buy.
Yeah.
So they're offsetting those interest rates. Who's eating that? They are. The builder and their lenders are trying to proactively stimulate the market in order to sell that property. Yeah. To sell multiple properties, right? Right. So banks did the same thing. Preemptively to the rate cut, they were adjusting their rates to keep people in the market, to, whether it's refinances, whether it's buying, any of that. But interest rates are the biggest trigger for us in the real estate market. For anybody, we've talked about it, affordability. If you look at the difference in 0.5% on a mortgage, what's your monthly payment change? Right. It's half a car payment, or it's a car payment, or it's your cell phone payment. Right. All of those things impact. And it's probably the single largest way that people gain wealth is through home ownership. Correct. So for buyers, you can't think short term. That's all I can say when it comes to buying a house. Buying a home is not a 1 year, turnaround. No, it can be. I mean, if your job changes, things happen. I get all of that. But long term, as part of your strategy to own a home and allow it to build equity, improves your wealth over time. Yes, it does. Notice over time. Yeah. It's not a 1 year, 2 year turnaround. Now, there are those people that bought in 19 and turned around and sold in 21 and made 25% on their house. But again, anomaly there. It's an anomaly. That's an outlier, an event that, again, we probably will not see again in our lifetimes. Right. But normally, homes appreciate in value 4 to 6%, maybe 3 to 6%. Depends on the market, depends on a lot of other factors. But in general, if you could count on, I sound like a sales guy here, if you could count on a 4.5% return on an investment over time, would you take that? Well, no, I'd rather have 10. Well, yeah, so would I. Right. but we're talking slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It is not a buy it, turn around and sell it. You can do that. And there are lots of people who bought foreclosures. You know, they flipped them, they made good money, they bought the next one, they flipped them. There have not been a large number of foreclosures, so that opportunity is gone.
Yeah.
So it has not been as prominent as what it once was.
Right.
The average Joe, the average family, if you buy your home and hold it for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and that seems like a long time when you're 25 years old, right? But when you're 60, 15, 20 years, you're thinking, how many years have I got left? I'm more than half done, right? But home ownership will allow you to increase in wealth over time. And you know, you can do your own calculation on how much that's going to be. But if you said, okay, Mark's being conservative at 4%, I'm going to be crazy, I'm going to say it's 6%. Let's say 5%, but at 5% a year, you buy a house at $100,000. The next year it's 105. The next year it's 5% more on top of that, and on top of that, I'm not buying a house at $100,000, but the math's easy with that.
Right.
So the reality is, it's a good long-term investment, not a short-term, 1 year and out, but in the big picture, home ownership, as we've talked about, it stabilizes, it fixes your living expenses. If you have a fixed rate mortgage, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, at least you know principal and interest is fixed for 30 years. Taxes are going to go up, your insurances are going to go up, but not like rent can go up. And rents here went extreme. They're beginning to tamp back or come back.
Okay.
But long-term real estate is still a good investment. So buyers that are trying to take advantage of the market, yes, there's still an opportunity. It's a longer-term opportunity.
Right.
It's not a 30-day return. It's a longer-term opportunity, but it's been proven over and over and over again that home ownership matters, and it's a way for families to build wealth, doing something that you have to do anyways. You have to live.
Right.
You have to have a place to live.
Right.
Are there expenses related to owning? Yes, there are. Right? Things break, you fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to rake my yard. You have to mow my yard. I've got to replace my water heater. All these things over time. But the reality is, if you were to do a net, put it on a sheet of paper, you're in a better position 10 years down the road if you had bought a home 10 years prior than if you had rented for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a time and a place for renting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're looking long term, it's better to buy and to
buy
own.
something and allow it to build wealth for you.
All right. Well, if you'd like to continue this conversation with Mark, make sure you reach out. Mark, your contact info.
Sure. Website, skabowskiteam.com. Phone numbers, 574-527-0660. Can shoot me an email, mark@skabowskiteam.com.
Very interesting topic here today. And, you know, like you said, we're bucking the trend. And so we'll see if this continues.
We'll see if it truly is a trend.
All right. Very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.